In today's What's for Dinner video, I'm sharing with you 5 easy, delicious meals that you can make for your family, either on a weeknight or any night. I hope that you enjoy these recipes and they give you some meal inspiration for the coming week. This first recipe is a cheesy beef and shells meal. This one's super easy to make and really delicious. But you're going to need one 15-ounce can of tomato sauce. You'll need some garlic powder and some salt and pepper to taste. You'll need 2 cloves of garlic minced. And then for the pasta, use whatever pasta you like. I'm using medium shells. And you're only going to need about 8 ounces, so I'm only going to use half of that box. You'll also need 2 cups of beef broth or beef stock, 1.5 cups of shredded extra sharp cheese, half of a medium onion chopped up, 2 tablespoons of all-purpose flour. For the seasonings, you need 1 teaspoon of paprika, 1.5 teaspoons of Italian seasoning, and 1/2 teaspoon of dry mustard. You'll also need about a pound of ground beef and 3/4 cup of heavy whipping cream. So the first thing you will do is just brown your ground beef, and I usually season it with the garlic powder, and if you want you can season it as well with some salt and pepper. Just season it to taste. And then I'm going to just brown this up until it's completely cooked. Then I'm going to drain all of that grease off and take it out of the pan and put it into just a little container there. Then I'm going to saute my onions until those become translucent. I will have to add more olive oil as I go, just to make sure that it doesn't stick or burn. Then I'm going to add, once the onions are translucent, add the garlic, and then just cook that for about a minute or so. Then add my seasonings, and this, like I said, it gets very, the pan still gets very dry. So I just kind of whisk it into there until it gets kind of brown. And then I'm going to add my flour and do the same thing until it kind of gets a little thicker in there, if that makes sense, and almost like a little bit of a roux. Then I'm going to add that beef stock and just whisk that around and try to get all the bits that may have stuck to the pan a little bit. As long as they're not burnt, they're fine, and that adds flavor. Add the tomato sauce. And I already added the heavy cream. I did not record that, but I wanted to make sure you knew that I added the cream in as well. Now I'm adding the ground beef. And then just stir that around and cook your pasta according to the directions on the package. And then add that into this mixture. And then add the cheese on top. And add as little or as much as you want. And I just kind of stir that in. And you want to just cook this until it gets thick and that sauce kind of reduces a little bit. So it will get thicker as you cook it. That cheese also helps to do that as well, as a thickening agent. I add a little bit of salt to this because with that pasta you do need a little bit. And I'm going to add a little bit more pepper. And then this is what it looks like once it's done, and once all of that liquid absorbs. And as I said before, this was really delicious. This was a good, hearty meal. So definitely, pasta for me is comfort food, and this is definitely a comfort meal. So one definitely to try, and almost like a hamburger helper, but a little healthier, I think. And we just had it with some green beans. And really, really delicious. I think this is a meal your family will love. This next recipe is a burrito chilada. So this one was really, really good. Really enjoyed this one. I am doubling the recipe, so beware of what, the ingredients I'm showing you. It did not specify on how many flour or corn tortillas to use, but I have 2 packs, so that way if I need more, I have it. You will need, if you're doing it just the one without doubling it, you're going to need 1 can of mild red enchilada sauce in the can, and that's the one I prefer to use. And you will also need the Rotel, the mild diced tomatoes with the green chilies. So if you're doing it just once, you just need the 1 can, but I'm doubling it. You need some pitted olives, and for those sliced olives, that's optional. You don't need to use them, but I'm using a little larger can there. And it says 1 cup of grated cheese, whatever you choose to use. I like the Mexican style, and I tend to use more, so I'm going to be using more than a cup. Also, a 1/2 cup of water, 1 onion diced, and then it calls for 1 bell pepper diced, and you can use any color that you want. I had green bell peppers on hand, so that's what I'm going to use for this one. And I'm using 2 packs of the taco seasoning mix. Like I said, you would only need 1 if you're not doubling it. And then I'm using 2 pounds of ground beef, but it would only call for 1 if you're not doubling it as well. So just wanted to make sure. I will leave the link to the recipe down below so you can get all of those ingredients. Now, I like to add the garlic powder to my meat, and I'm going to season that up first. It doesn't call for it, but I like to season, the meat. So I'm going to brown this up, and I will add, you can add it now. The recipe calls for adding it, I think, after. I just prefer to get it all done at once. So I'm just going to add that in and drain, once the green bell peppers and the onions become, softer, I will drain off the grease, add the tomatoes, the Rotel, and then I'm adding both. Just kind of mix it in a little bit. And you don't have to use the Rotel brand. You can use any kind of brand, any type that you want. Now I'm going to add the taco seasoning. Add the water, and then just mix that up really well to dissolve that seasoning into the meat. Now take a 9 by 13 inch pan. I believe it had a different size, but this is the pan I'm using. So add a little bit of that enchilada sauce on the bottom just to cover it. So I probably used almost a little over half a can, as you can see there. And then I'm going to probably use, like I said, I think it's good to have an extra can anyway for this recipe, because I just feel like it needed it. But then once I have that on the bottom of the pan, I'm going to start to fill the tortillas. So I'm adding some ground beef, and just add, you don't want to overfill it because then it's hard to roll these up. And I'm trying to put enough in to where it's filling and it's not just the tortilla shell. That way, you have that meat inside of there. And you can also push it towards the bottom. I kind of did it in the middle, but it's good if you can put it towards the bottom of the tortilla first. Now I'm adding some of the cheese, and as I said, add as little or as much as you want. But then I'm just folding it up, and the first few I did were not as tight as I would have preferred them to be. So you want to put the seam side down when you go to put this into your pan. And like I said, if you can get them a little tighter than I had here, I think that would be good too. So the first few I did, like I said, I didn't quite get them as tight. But then as I went on, I started getting them, because I knew I needed to fit them into this pan. And I think that's why they used a larger pan, which I did not have. So as you can see here, just rolling it up a little tighter than it was. And then that fit in perfect. So just continue to do that. And then I poured the enchilada sauce that was left in that can and opened another one and poured that on top. So you want to just make sure that you get it completely covered. You don't want any dry spots. Then I added the cheese on top. And like I said, I added more cheese than really it called for. But then you add the olives on top of that. You do not have to add any, but we like black olives, so we did that. Bake on 350 between 25 and 30 minutes until that cheese melts and it kind of gets bubbly. Really delicious. Really enjoyed this meal. And it was very filling. So definitely want to try. And you can always add more things to it if you want, like green enchiladas or anything like that into the meat mixture. You can play with this recipe a little bit and add the flavors you like. This next meal was absolutely delicious. It's a chicken tamale pie. Really enjoyed this one. So you're going to need 1 pack of taco seasoning mix, and I like that Taco Bell seasoning. That's one of our favorites. You need a 4-ounce can of the chopped green chilies and a can of sweet corn, a 15-ounce can of tomato sauce, 1 teaspoon of chili powder, 1.5 cups of extra sharp white cheddar cheese shredded. And I used the block of cheese and shredded it myself because I find it melts really, really good that way. You need 1 medium-sized yellow bell pepper and 1 onion chopped up, 1 box of corn muffin mix, and I like to use the Jiffy, and I'm using the ingredients that are on the back, so you will, prepare it the way, whatever box you're using. 1/2 cup of sour cream, and 3 cups of shredded rotisserie chicken packed. And now you're going to mix up your corn muffin mix. So whatever the ingredients are on the back of your package, just add everything together and just mix it up really well. And then once you have that mixed up, add your sour cream to it and mix that in until you don't see the sour cream anymore. And then you're going to put this into a prepared, if you have a cast iron pan, I think that works best. But whatever kind of pan you have, add your mixture to that. Then bake this in the oven for the amount of time that it specifies. And then we're going to start making the topping. So we're going to add the onions and the bell pepper to a pan with some olive oil in it. And you want to just cook these until the onions become translucent and the bell peppers become a little softer in texture. Now add your rotisserie chicken and just make sure it's all cooked. Add the tomato sauce. Add the corn. Then add the green chilies. You want to mix this together until everything becomes completely incorporated. You want to make sure it's all, evenly distributed throughout. And once you have all of that mixed in, then you're going to add the taco seasoning. And just make sure you mix that in well. Add your chili powder. Mix again until everything is thoroughly combined. Now, once you have your cornbread that's completely cooked, then you're going to add the mixture on top of this. So just make sure it's cooked and just start layering that on top. And once you have that chicken mixture spread out evenly on top, then start adding the cheese and just cover it completely. And then I added about 2 scallions that were cut up and just put those on top. And then I put this in the oven on 425 for about 15 minutes until all of that becomes heated through. And this absolutely was delicious. So really enjoyed this chicken tamale pie. Definitely one that's going to be made again. Really, really good. So if you like this type of recipe, type of food, I think you will enjoy this recipe because it just was really, really good. And then just cut it into wedges like you would a pie and just put it on your plate. Really delicious. So you can see that the muffin mix on the bottom gives it that crust. So this, like I said, was really delicious. And I had some Mexican rice with it and some green beans. So it made a good meal. Really, really, really good. Definitely one we enjoyed. And this next night, I just wanted something really easy to make, really quick, not too involved. But it was just some ground beef that I had defrosted and put some onions into it. If I would have had bell peppers, I would have added that as well. I did add some of this New Orleans Cajun seasoning to it, some the dry mustard, and some garlic powder, also some pepper as well. And if you want, you can add, salt. I don't add eggs to my ground meat when I make, hamburgers or anything like that anymore. I find it sticks together. That's usually a binding agent, but I did not add that to this. So I'm just going to make some mini meatloaves and put these on a sheet pan. So this is going to be a sheet pan meal. And also had some potatoes on hand, so I'm going to peel these and make a, just a pan of sheet pan thing of potatoes with some asparagus, and also, I'll season those up as well. Now I want to make a topping for the meatloaf, so I'm adding a 1/4 cup of ketchup and a 1/4 teaspoon of ground nutmeg to this, and then I'm going to add a teaspoon of dry mustard, 3 tablespoons of brown sugar, and then you want to mix this all together. And I'm going to use that little brush to brush it on, so that's why I use that to mix it up. But I just patted up those meatloaves, and I'm going to season those asparagus with the garlic powder, some salt, and some of this Tuscan seasoning as well. So that just, helps to add a lot of flavor to it. And I kind of, separated it a little bit with the foil so that way it didn't run, the greases didn't run into everything. I did use some avocado oil as well on the asparagus. And now I'm adding that, ketchup mixture on top of the meatloaf. And I'm just spreading it on. And you can put this on afterwards if you want. If you want to do it towards the end, you can. If you cook it a little bit and then put it on. I just prefer to kind of have it cooked in a little bit as I'm, cooking it in the oven. And on another sheet pan, I peeled and sliced up some potatoes. And I added some of this Kinder's Buttery Steakhouse seasoning, and I also sprayed the potatoes first with the avocado oil to help that seasoning stick and kind of get those to brown up a little bit in the oven. So I cooked everything on 350, and I just cooked it until everything was, completely done. So this is what it looks like when it was done, and really delicious. So this is just an easy meal, and like I said, I didn't want to make a whole meatloaf, and these took less time. So it was really a time saver in a sense. So really a good one to try. Just, you know, change things up a little bit from just making a regular, you know, whole meatloaf. So I like the little individual ones, which I think turned out really, really good. This next recipe is a spinach mushroom tortellini bake, and this one's really easy and very flavorful. So you need a bag of the 5 cheese tortellini, the refrigerated type, and I think it was about 20 ounces, if I'm not mistaken. You do need 12 ounces of sliced button mushrooms, and you want to make sure you wash those as well. But some, you know, like I said, you can slice them up. That's what I did. I don't like to buy them already sliced. I like to slice them up myself just because I think, you know, it stays a little fresher. You'll need a package of Italian sausage. You can use mild, hot, any type of flavor that you want. And I'm also going to take the casings off of these. So if you can buy it where you don't, you know, where it's not, doesn't have the casings on them, that would be good as well. You need 4 ounces of mozzarella cheese, and I'll probably add a little bit more, I'm not sure yet. Also some marinara sauce, and you need 2.5 cups. You will also need 5 cloves of garlic, and I like to use the minced garlic that's in the jar when I'm in a hurry. You'll need 5 ounces of just some baby spinach. So fresh spinach works best in this recipe. And like I said, very easy to make and very flavorful. So the first thing you'll do is make your tortellini. So just follow the directions on the back of the package, and whatever the preparation directions are, that's what you will follow for, you know, the tortellini that you're using. And I'm also going to, like I said, I already sliced and washed these mushrooms. I'm going to add some olive oil to my pan, and then I'm going to saute these mushrooms until, you know, they change color, they get softer, and, you know, they're kind of cooked through a bit. And then you start adding your garlic cloves to it. And like I said, I like to add this minced garlic when I can. It's just very quick and easy to do. And then you will saute your mushrooms until you start about a minute or so, once those that garlic gets fragrant. Then add your spinach, and you will just continue to cook this down until your spinach wilts, and just let it, you know, cook down. It does not take long at all. As you can see, that 5 ounces, you know, literally turns into nothing because it's basically water. And I did drain off some of that water as well. And I'm going to take the mushrooms and the spinach out, and now I'm going to cook the sausage, and I took the casings off, and I'm just going to brown this up until these are completely cooked. And then I drained off the grease, and now I'm adding the mushrooms and the spinach back into this. I'm going to mix this up and heat it through. Now add in the cooked tortellini, and once you have that all added in, you're going to start adding the marinara sauce, and just mix that in until it's all completely blended together, and just get as much of it out of that jar as you can. So just mix it in, and then add the mozzarella cheese on top. And I did not measure this. I just, you know, put as much as I wanted and just, you know, fill the top up. I put this in the oven on 400 for about 25 to 30 minutes, and this is what it looks like when it comes out. This was really good. So really delicious. If you like tortellini, you'll love this. And like I said, with the mushrooms and the spinach, it just added so much flavor. So definitely one to try. I think your family would enjoy it as much as we did. I hope that these recipes gave you some meal inspiration, and that you will, you know, try some of these and make these for your family. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, and If you want to see more like it, I would absolutely love to have you here and become a part of my YouTube family. All you have to do is click that subscribe button and the notification bell. That'll notify you when I post new videos. And it's absolutely free, so you'll get new videos of different recipes that I share and different collabs and things that I do. So I hope to see you here, and I hope everyone has a blessed day and a great week. God bless y'all.